Hello and welcome to Sadhana and Books. My name is Zita Harkaran. And yes, after long hiatus, I'm back and I want to talk about books that I'm reading because they're amazing and I'm having some amazing realizations that I really want to share with whoever is interested. Um, to help offer another perspective on the world. You don't have to do anything with it. You can read these books if you like, but you don't have to. Um, but yeah, my main goal is to share how my mind is being open and what are the new horizons and new perspectives that I am seeing, sharing it with you, and hopefully enriching our life in this way. So, first one. This one was a huge, I don't know, it's called The Cosmic Serpent by Jeremy Narby. It was a huge breakthrough for me on so many levels. Connected ideas from yoga, from science, and in generally from plant life. It connected me to Bhagavad Gita again. I listened to it, so I don't have the quite quotes that I would like to really pull out for you. But then I actually got it in physical form, um, and probably will read it again. But it's I read it like as if it was a thriller. It's a nonfiction book about an anthropologist who goes and studies Amazonian shamans. That really got me. I always been interested in shamanism and in plants and even in ayahuasca and the visions. I've been wanting to try ayahuasca, but also have not wanted to try it so much that I actually pursue it. Uh, I really find that my visions on their own are sort of interesting and enrich me so much that sometimes I feel like having too much information would, when you have too much information and no outlet for it, it is kind of like wasted. It's like vitamins. When you take too much vitamins, they just kind of leave the body. So I've been just kind of feeding myself drop by drop. Anyway, this book, this Cosmic Serpent, was written in like 1999, so a while back. And but it just feels so relevant and modern. And let me tell you what it is about quickly. So this anthropologist goes into Amazon and he has his ayahuasca experience, and he sees these two beautiful, gorgeous serpents. And these are not like these evil serpents, but they seem to hold the truth about the universe, and they want to share it with him. And he gets very intrigued in this. Um, the shamans, of course, offer him answers of like, no, this is how it is. This is the truth, right? We are not going to argue with this, but he wants to see truth a little bit differently. And I'm sorry about the background noises. I do live in Brooklyn, and they're just there's so much action here. And even though I have this microphone, I'm not able to block my windows, and I'm not gonna get like another audio setup just for these little thoughts that I have. So back to Jeremy Narby. He started to research all kinds of papers and scientific studies, mythology on the snakes, and he just keeps seeing these correlations in so many religions and in so many tribes and in so many information that shows the snake. What the shamans are telling him, that they basically go on this journey of a plant, the psychedelic journey, and the plants themselves talk to them and tell them what to do, how to use themselves. Because like Amazon has like thousands of plants. It's not just ayahuasca, but so many other plants that can be used in different ways to heal a person. So he's like, how is this possible? How is this actually? He's trying to think scientifically, like, how is this connection happening, right? What is there in the brain? What is there in the plant that allows these shamans to communicate? Because he decided that he's going to take them for their word, that it is true what they're saying, right? And he wants to know what is the mechanism that is behind this. And so the whole book is like his search into this. And basically, he comes to a conclusion that these two snakes and the ability for the shamans to communicate is hidden within the DNA of us and the DNA of the plants, which we are the plants, right? We eat the plants. Plants are the original producers for this planet. They create life. They take the two inorganic matters, the carbon dioxide and water, and boom, they create glucose that all life needs to live. So they're truly magicians, and we are made of them. So because we are made of them, maybe we are able to communicate. And what he's saying is that we are communicating through our DNA. Our DNA communicates with their DNA. And I was like, oh my gosh, that so resonated with me so strongly. Because many times in meditation, I have this sense of just perceiving, not through my eyes, not through my ears or mind, but truly perceiving and connecting through my whole body. And I also have this feeling of like this body rewiring itself, restoring itself somehow, changing its patterns. And so that reminds me of like DNA that can change itself while living. It doesn't stay the same. We know this in science, that the DNA changes as you live. That's why two identical twins who have the same DNA throughout the life and throughout the environmental effects can develop different diseases and certain different looks and so on. So this DNA is responding to the environmental factors. It's responding to our own consciousness, our own feelings, and what we are going through, and changing, rewiring. So that's not something he talks about so much. But where he is going with that is that this DNA is the conscious living God within us. And that was a big breakthrough for me to realize and to feel this, that the DNA, that there is a conscious, meaning constantly being able to influence itself and life within us. This consciousness is within us, not just removed, like a removed God that is just overlooking what we are doing, but the God that is constantly present and constantly affecting life, constantly kind of stirring it in certain direction. And the more reverence and the more understanding we have for that universal creative consciousness, which we can call God, or which we can call creative spirit, or whatever you want to call it, the more beautiful your life, more aligned, more rich your life is, the more you try to go away from that life and try to close the door and try and do not understand or revere that creative, I want to say, kind of like a creative will, because I'm also studying Schopenhauer right now, and he's talking about will, but this creative kind of pursuit within us. The more you revere, the more brilliant life is, right? Once you start putting these blinders and limits and do not respect that spirit, the emptier life is. So, and our soul deeply and constantly feeds on that relationship, needs it for its life. Once it starts being removed, the soul wants to remove from the body. The body gets sick and is not able to heal itself, because that soul is not connected with the universal spirit and is then becoming like faulty. I'm not describing it super clearly, but that's maybe for like when I start to write it. But anyway, these were amazing realizations. How we can and we should communicate with the creative force everywhere. Then it got me thinking of, like, once purpose of science is to explain everything without leaving space for any spiritual understanding, any magic, anything we don't understand, like explain everything materially. And that's why spirit will, or science will never be able to find God, because its purpose is to explain magical, mysterious things on a material perspective. And that's why many scientists right now, they know the limits of science, and they are hitting these walls constantly. And they're just like, don't understand. So they just create theories that, sometimes turn out true, sometimes not. But that's not because science is wrong. It's because the science have this kind of materialistic limitation. And that is not to say that science is wrong. I love science. I love teaching about it. I love studying it. But it has its bias and it has its prejudices that are against God. And that is the problem, right? Because the science is trying to take the place of God and trying to explain everything by eliminating that creative force that still is there. They try to, like, no, these things, this healing process, the way we communicate with plants, it's just mechanical, chemical reactions that are happening. And it's a sorry limit that it's creating problems even for our own mind, because then does not allow the mind to be creative or imaginary in its aspect. And it feels constrictive because I don't even know if I should go in there. Well, anyway, this is this book. I might come back to my other thought about science and God, but I like this. I'm taking it with me. And the next book that I want to look into, and something that I read a while back, is actually channeled information about 12 strands of DNA from Cryon. So I read this a while ago, and what he's saying is that there are actually 12 strands to the DNA. Only 2 of them are visible, and the other ones are invisible. Some of them are just magnetic, which is the last one then the science will be able to discover. And they hide all kinds of information besides just they even hide information about past lives and things like that. So yeah, this is amazing book. Then, and this is something I want to recommend for everyone. This is from the book club I'm part of. We read Too Loud a Solitude by Bohumil Hrabal, Czech writer, someone that I knew from high school, and I read only like one book by him. I saw movies by him, which not movies made from his books, which are amazing. Yeah, one is I Serve the King of England, and another one is no, I didn't see Ostrogeny. Ostre Sledovane Blackie, which means like watching the trains carefully, something like that. I forgot how it's translated into English. Good movies, good movies. But reading this short book was such a pleasure, and it was so soothing for me, for my soul, for my mind, because it was like, it wasn't left brain, I call it. It was totally right brain, a stream of consciousness of this person who is compressing books and compressing paper to recycle or whatever. And he has, but he loves books so much, and he has to compress a lot of like philosophical wisdom that he feels sorry for, that it's going to be lost, or because this is during communism, and at that time lots of knowledge had to be suppressed and not allowed. Only a proper communist books were allowed. It sounds funny right now, but when you see something like that in the culture happening, where people are trying to push back or destroy books and knowledge, that there are some totalitarian forces working that try to install their truth. Sometimes they can be physically destroying them, and sometimes, and this is even more kind of demonic, is when they do it by not literally destroying it, but laughing at it, calling a book or knowledge as inaccurate, untrue, a fairy tale, which is what is happening. And I have this book here. This is what is happening to this beautiful archaeologist and historian, Marija Gimbutas, who did so much research on archaeological sites in Europe from like before the Bronze Age or during the Bronze Age, like 20,000 years ago. So, and she has a theory of the goddess that lived and created a peaceful society, matriarchal society, and she's being laughed at and completely disregarded as a scientist or any kind of researcher. So what I'm saying is that it can happen just physically, right? There are more, these are the crude ways, and then it can really happen by just by ostracizing someone, right? Saying, oh, their research, their truth is not what we believe in. This is not us, we only believe this. And if you believe in that something else, then you are wrong and you should not even look into that. That is something that people used to do in old Christian dogma, right? They were like, no, don't you even dare look at that kind of literature. Don't you ever dare to sing these kind of songs or say, or imagine God as a picture. Like, how dare you create art out of God? It's like, what? Why could we? Why should God only be this? I don't even say this, it's the whole like Protestant religion when it came in and it just completely destroyed art and made religion super boring, as if art was not the most effective way of praising God, as if art was not a way of God showing itself on earth, as if beauty was not a true quality of God. And like I look at the world, and that is one confirmation that God exists, because it's so beautiful and it's so working perfectly together. Anyway, so back to too loud a solitude. Okay, it's a stream of consciousness from this person who is compressing books, but he loves books. And he tries to save them sometimes, but by now his apartment is so full of books that he is afraid that they're going to kill him and fall on him and no one will ever find him. It doesn't happen. But the book itself is about these contradictions, right? Him as a person that has to destroy these books, yet he loves books so much. And he actually learned, he said his whole education came from this job of compressing books, because then he would just kind of get lost and drink beer and read books, and then all the stuff would pile up and he would not do his work and stuff. It is also, and maybe more importantly, the book is about, if you destroy something, what happens? What is left? If you even, he talks about death of his mother and watching her be burned in one of those houses, and then watching the smoke come out from that house, right? And it's like, that is my mother, that smoke. So the book is about what is left when something is destroyed, and that there is something, there is that spirit that will live. There's also a beautiful scene. I'm going to mention two scenes. One scene is when there was this old Prussian library that they discovered of like these beautiful philosophical books. And of course, communist regime couldn't keep them. So they sold them for very cheap price, somewhere to Switzerland or somewhere. And he was saying, and he was so happy when he saw it. They were just like these beautiful blue and gold uh, binded volumes, and he saw them just how they were filling up the truck with these books. And on that day, it rained, and the message is that somehow these books did not survive; they just get soaked. And he saw the blue and red water dripping from the truck, from the back of the truck. And he said, I stood there leaning against the lamppost, just like Leonardo da Vinci must have stand there when he watched French soldiers shoot and piece by piece destroy the sculpture that he worked on for 17 years. The sense of when you see destruction and you just stand there and watch and are like, you know, I guess I'll keep on creating or something. And then I had to look up that story actually did happen when French soldiers came to occupy the town where Leonardo da Vinci lived, and he worked on this sculpture. It was still like a clay, and he worked on it for 17 years. And they came and they just made it into their target practice, and he had to watch as they destroyed. So I hope you get I'm sure you get the message of what this book is about. And he just has lots of these like kind of like stream of consciousness stories about destruction, um, eventually even destruction of his old way of compressing books and this new way. It's yeah, it's like kind of a book where he doesn't give you all the answers, but helps you to just open the mind so you can make connections about what is happening between these two opposites. What is left, right? What is left of a person? What is left of an idea? What is left of an art when they're destroyed? Um, so beautiful. Um, yeah, I am very excited to get into this too. I don't know if I'm going to read it cover to cover, but uh, it's amazing. It's I really want to know what she's saying. Even like, look at these figures. It's called The Goddesses and Gods of Old Europe by Marija Gimbutas. Yeah, I think that is my yeah, that is my message for today. I also like read a lot about Caesar. I read the Julius Caesar by Shakespeare. Yay. Great book. Great play, even though it's not about Julius Caesar, it's really about Brutus. And it's about, completely comes from Plutarch. There is not one plot line that Shakespeare dis- um, created himself. He just copied it, but it's good. I'm not blaming him because more people should put Plutarch's stories into plays or movies or even just like more readable books, because he is hard to read. And sometimes it's like you read a paragraph and this one paragraph could be a whole movie. So there's a lot of information in there, and so that's why it's like lots of names to take in. But I don't want to talk about Plutarch. That's for another video maybe. But the Julius Caesar play, which is about Brutus, and how it's a story about an idealist who is swayed by maybe more darker forces, forces that are about power. Yet he still tries to justify his action based on these ideals, but it just doesn't work. Because it he is destroyed at the end through the effort of his own. It's not like, oh, it was not his fault. No, it was completely his fault. He just lost. They were so incompetent in that last war that they had. Because then they eventually, the Brutus and Cassius had to fight against Mark Antony and Octavian, and their communication was just non-existent, and Cassius thought that Brutus lost, so he killed himself, and then Brutus saw that Cassius killed himself, so he's like, well, what am I going to do on my own? Like, he cannot win this war anymore. So he also then eventually lost and then killed himself. Became famous for just killing a great man. His whole idea is that he's going to return Rome to country of freedom. It just shows that ideas and ideals don't work. What actually works is, but let me finish that thought. Because he wanted free Rome. He wanted this Rome to return back to this republican power in which lots of people had a voice in creating it. But with his action, he actually only speed up the process of monarchy and empire that was to come, because then Octavian takes over, controls all soldiers, and Roman Republic is just a story, right? A pretended story that it still exists. They're still calling themselves Republic and blah, 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 but it's nothing. And it just shows that ideals and ideas is not what the world is made of. What the world is made of is action, everyday action. It is about how you treat people. It is about how you relate. It is about being down to earth. It is about generosity you offer in the actual world. It's not about how beautifully you can speak and the visions you can have, but what are you actually able to deliver? So yeah, that is all for me. Next time I'll share. Currently, I'm going on a journey to read a Schopenhauer, so there's going to be a lot of that. But in meanwhile, I'll read some shorter books as well. So that is all. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you for being here. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Yeah, would love to hear from you.